Right, update time. Now, like every promo I've shot since about 2019, I've not really thought this through. I've not planned it. I'm just going to try and get through on vibes and energy. So if there's anything I've missed, I'll try and fill in blanks later, but bear with me. Update number one. Unfortunately, yes, I am now a crop guy. I know it's news you were waiting for, but it has to be said. Update number two. This is probably the main one. Unfortunately, I am, as of right now, retiring from professional wrestling. And this is this is not a wrestling retirement. This is an actual, I am done. I will no longer be a wrestler doing wrestling, anything like that. As most of you probably know, I suffered a very serious injury at True Grit last Friday. And before I started wrestling, I'd always said that if I suffered a major injury, that would be me. That'd be me done. And here we are, and I'm done, and that's fine. I'm completely at peace with it. This is not something that was made in haste. This is not a snap decision. This is what it is. So at True Grit last Friday, I suffered a triple leg fracture in my left leg, tibia and fibula. Went into hospital obviously on Friday. By Sunday, I'd had surgery, and now I'm going to spend the next anywhere between 2 and 12 months with a big old cage on my leg, which I won't show you because it looks a bit gross. Once that has healed the bone and the bone is fused and healed, then I'll have surgery to take the cage off. And then after I've taken the cage off, there's more rehab on top of that. So at the moment, my expected full health date is TBC. It could be 3 months, it could be more than a year. I don't know. Like I said on the short video on socials, when I first started wrestling way back in 2016, I think, that if I suffered any kind of serious injury that took any kind of real rehab and time to come back from, that I would be done with wrestling. I love wrestling. I have loved wrestling. I always had big goals and big dreams for wrestling, but I also am very aware and have always tried to wrestle in that wrestling should be fun, first and foremost. And the amount of time that I had to take away from my family when I was injured in hospital, not seeing my daughter, not seeing my wife, and now the amount of pressure that obviously being more or less totally immobile has put onto my family is not worth the payoff of the amount of fun that wrestling is. So I am done. Again, not a wrestling retirement. I am done. I will not be wrestling again. I do have to say thank you before I forget, and I should have this in the last video, but I started rocking and rolling and we're off. Thank you to everyone at True Grit who looked after me after the injury, or the promoter, the wrestlers, the medical staff. Thank you to all the ambulance staff, everyone at the hospital, at least general. Everyone has been amazing. I think, obviously the main thank you I should say is to my wife, who has been very patient and very loving and very understanding with me. She's been an absolute rock star and continues to be an absolute rock star. Thank you for my daughter for firstly forgiving me for going missing for the better part of a week, and just being, again, just an absolute hero with everything that's going on. And then finally, the main thing I have to say is obviously to Ryan, or Troy Ryan as you may know him. For the last decade, he has been my brother. There's no other word to describe it. My absolute brother in wrestling, and will continue to be so moving forward. And came to visit me in hospital, stayed with me the night when it happened, all that kind of stuff. The dude is one of the good ones, and in my personal and admittedly very biased opinion, but I can be biased and I can be right, horrendously undervalued, underrated, underappreciated in wrestling. And if you've not checked out his single stuff beforehand, you should do, and in the future you should check out more of his stuff, because the guy is really flipping good. As evidenced by the fact that I think he wrestled Rampage last night, and for everything I've heard, and the least shocking news to me, smashed it, as you would expect. But yeah, on that side, how I'm doing all right. As good as can be. Obviously, it's very frustrating. Mentally, there are down points. But I'm very lucky to have an incredible support system around me, such as my wife, such as my daughter, such as my friends, family, all that kind of stuff, who have helped keep me sane in the 7 days since surgery, just over a week now since it happened. I am doing fine. With regards to future stuff inside of wrestling, I joked in the past about going into refereeing. I thought that would always be quite fun to have quite a big ref. I've done it once and I loved it, doing ring announcing and stuff like that. But my honest answer is I'm not saying that stuff will never happen, but I won't say I'm closing the door on it, but I'm pushing that door firmly to for now until I am fully recovered and I see where my life is at after that. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm not going to entertain it. I'm just going to concentrate on getting back fully fit, walking, running, lifting, doing all that good stuff. And then once that stuff is sorted, like I said, whether that's in 3 months or if that's in 18 months, 24 months, however long it takes to be back fully fit and running around and chucking my daughter over my head and playing silly games and all that kind of stuff. Once that is done, then I will consider what other things I could do, whether that's in wrestling, like I said, ring announcing, reffing, whatever, whether that's moving into a different sport, just going all in on the gym stuff, whatever it is. That is a future decision, and it's not a decision that's going to get made anytime soon. So apologies, I can't really give you an update on that because there isn't one to give. I think that's more or less it. For everyone, thank you to everyone who reached out to me, sent me messages. I apologize to those who either never got back to or I stopped getting back to. Your messages were greatly received and a lot of help. Honestly, it all got very overwhelming in kind of the days following the injury, obviously being in hospital on my own for a lot of it. And so in the end, it just became easier just to stop replying and stop having to worry about all that kind of stuff. So that's what I did. But yeah, I'm tempted to journal some of my recovery stuff on Instagram or on Twitter or something like that. There are some videos of me walking for the first time post-surgery with crutches. I might post them. If I do, I apologize because I am just in my pants. But also it was cool to do. I am walking around on crutches at the moment. I can do steps, I can go up and down stairs. So we are on the first steps to recovery. And fingers crossed we'll be back in no time. But like I said, these things can be short term, they can be very, very long term. And I'm not making any decisions or anything until I know what's going on there. I think that's it. I hope to come to some wrestling shows at some point and just be a fan, and I will just be a fan before everyone gets giddy about anything there. I always enjoyed it when my daughter came to shows, and I would love to be able to take her to shows that are appropriate for her in terms of times and that kind of stuff. I can't say I'll be around loads, but hopefully you might see me at a show just as a fan, booing the baddies, cheering the goodies, trying to be a good fan member, gassing up every wrestler about their rig, as should always be the way. But yeah, in terms of that's something we can talk about. Sorry, this is a ramble, and we should have known this was what it was going to be. I didn't plan anything. In terms of what it means for the meat wagon and for Troy moving forward, it's entirely up to Troy. Ryan, whatever he wants to do, he 100% has my support, my blessing, whatever. There was a couple of people mentioned about doing like fundraisers and stuff for me, so like, please do not do that. I have a job that pays my mortgage. I'm very, very fortunate. I don't need that kind of stuff. If you want to support me, if you want to support Ryan in any way, shape, or form, the best way you can do it is buy a t-shirt. We've got stupid red t-shirts with meat written on them that we need to flog eventually. So if you would like to do anything like that, buy a t-shirt. If not, just keep supporting Ryan, keep enjoying wrestling, keep going to shows, pay for tickets, cheer the goodies, boo the baddies, enjoy it, have fun. It's wrestling. It's meant to be fun. But I think that's it. I think that's me done. Like I said, summation, I am now retired, and I do mean retired from wrestling. You will not see me wrestling in a wrestling ring again. I've enjoyed every minute of the last 9 years. It's been incredible. Thank you to every promoter that's ever booked us, every fan that's ever cheered us or booed us. Thank you to every wrestler who's ever put up with our nonsense in the changing rooms. We always tried to be, or I always tried to be, a positive member of the locker room, wherever it was. And I'm sure Ryan will continue to be a positive member of a locker room, wherever it is. But yeah, thank you. And I guess you no longer have to worry about what you're going to do when the meat wagon, or at least one half of the meat wagon, rolls over you.